All right. Welcome to the final leg of today, Friday, which is a fresh one with two new faces. The cricket cranes are back in the country after the tour of Zimbabwe, and the captain is here with us, Brian Masaba. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Also joining us is Mayanja. Mayanja is the captain of Budo Cricket Club, and he's also part of the games committee. Is that right? So the questions regarding why cricket grounds are not available, Mayanja has to address that today and now. Of course, usual suspect Dennis Musali is here with us as well, and as usual, Dennis is first going to take us through the news around cricket in Uganda, and then we shall get started. Dennis.
Thank you, Franklin. Not so much to talk about this week, apart from I think the major event this weekend will be the Mwiri Cricket League, which is the Wembley version. Abu is smiling because he's a Budonian, but we welcome people who want to watch, visitors. The Mwiri Cricket League will be happening tomorrow at the Chambogo Cricket Level. The game starts as early as 10 a.m. Until late in the evening. I know the CEO and his boys from Ontario have an invitational team. So they will come there and battle with the Mwirians. I think they want to rub shoulders with some of the best cricketers in Uganda. So that's why they decided to come and play with the Mwirians. But it will be a fun event. Hopefully the rain stays away. But last time, even with the rain, the games continued and it was very exciting and interesting. So we hope to see everyone. It's free entrance for all, and there should be everything from drinks, eats, and Mwiri is a single school. Well, it is a single school still, so I don't want to say women, but I hope guys can come with their own. And then in the league, there will be just 2 games this weekend, all Division 1 games. Kachi Tigers will be taking on KICC in a nothing game, in my opinion. Both teams are already safe, so they will basically be playing to sweat a bit. That's what I think. But it should be interesting. It's at the Lakeside Oval in Entebbe. If you can make time and go there, you can catch some cricket. KICC has some interesting characters like Davis Karashani, the youngsters Franka Kankwasa. So it should be an exciting game. And then the other game is Challengers playing Tornado in Budo. Tornado has a lot of student players, and it is now, I think there's only a week to go until the term closes. Hopefully they will have the kids come over to play, because usually during exams it's very hard to raise teams for teams like Tornado. But in the end, it's a lost cause for them. They already relegated anyway, so we don't know if they will show up. But sometimes in cases like this, if they don't show up, challengers will get only 5 points. Yet if they had played a game, they probably would have gotten 6. So sometimes the math can be unfair to you when it comes down to those simple details at the end of the season. So that's basically it in terms of cricket this weekend. India is playing Bangladesh in a totally one-sided game. It is only interesting if you're an Indian fan, but if you're a Bangladeshi fan, just stay away. Try and follow other things apart from that particular test match. So that's basically that's happening in the world of cricket this week.
All right. Thank you very much. Brian, I'll start straight away with you. Your name is Captain before you came to Zimbabwe. How have you been so far?
So far so good. Can't complain too much. I think we went to Zimbabwe and played against some different sides. Just what we asked for. We wanted some tough cricket before a man, and that's exactly what we got. So far so good. I think we were headed in the right direction.
It's your second stint as the captain. What's the difference between then and now?
Well, I don't know if I'd call the first one a stint. Barely lasted the tournament, but I think people are mature now. Been around now for quite a bit. So,
Just your perspective on things is a bit different as you grow older.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So what is it, first of all, like in the team, especially, it's a mix of young boys and a little experienced group. What is the mix like?
The particular group that is playing now has been training together for a couple of months now. So I think we're gelling together pretty well.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's a mix of youth and some guys that have been around as well. Yeah, we're just trying to make sure there's some talent coming through as well.
Yeah.
You have to think about the years that will follow. So
I think it's a good blend of youth and experience, and we're hoping we can pull off the job at hand.
Okay. Abu, yeah, you were not here before the team left for Zimbabwe, but we had the chat here with Davis and Dennis. What is your overall view on the team?
First of all, I would like to congratulate Brian for his appointment as captain. I would like to think there will be more cohesion, no disrespect to our previous captain, but via communication and everything, Brian understands the players and he understands the management of the team. Before the team left, I was following, of course, through Dennis and the fact that I'm involved with UCA in some capacity. I was happy that they managed to go and get some, I don't know if they were tough games, of course, judging on the scores. We hope it was decent enough preparation. We always complain the team only gets together a couple of weeks before. I think we're missing one player, Kamal. We are sure that they will do a good job. They know the conditions. I'm sure they have studied the opposition. They know what to expect. And for some strange reason, some of us prefer when the Cranes actually travels because they seem to do better than when they're at home.
There's a lot of pressure at home, you want to say?
I don't know, maybe, yeah, probably, but they don't know how to maximize their home conditions. Okay. So they're a better touring nation. They have had better results
away from home.
Yeah, away from home than from home.
Okay. Brian, what is a good test for cricket Cranes?
What is a good test? I think this tournament is a pretty good, decent test for us because we went there last year, and as you know, we had a nightmare run there. So for a few of the guys, have some demons to lay to rest want to go there. So I think this will be a very, very good test for this team.
As the captain, what did you get from this tour that you had? That you can say, we went to Zimbabwe looking for this and that, and me as a captain, I believe the side achieved that.
Well, first and foremost, we were looking for game time. As you're aware, because of the weather here, we had actually failed to get time in the middle because of the weather and the availability of the grounds. So first and foremost, we're looking for game time, which is what we got. But it's also important that when you're playing, you play against decent sides. Mr. Mayanja had a query about the quality of the sides. We played against a Takashenga side that provides maybe 70-80% of the Zimbabwe national team. So you don't have to worry about the quality. It was quite up there, as you might have followed in the second game, I think, where they hunted down our 190 in just over 30 overs. I think their quality was on display there. I thought the game where we bowled them out for 130, we actually bowled pretty well. You know, the bowlers came to the party that day. So I was happy with the quality of the teams that we played against. So, like I said, we're looking for game time, but also the quality of the cricket was important.
Okay. Would you say that even the under-19 sides, you know, Dennis was there telling me that it is the under-19 of Zimbabwe, not Uganda. Was that also quite opposition? Yeah,
we played against the Zimbabwe under-19 side minus one or two players that are based in South Africa that couldn't come for the games. As you might know, under-19 is a very different level from national team. They are good players, maybe just lacking a bit of experience. And we do wish them well in the World Cup next year that they're preparing for.
Okay. Yeah. What is your plan going to Oman?
To win, basically. I mean, there's no two ways about it. Like Mr. Mayanja said, we seem to be a side that does pretty well away from home. And luckily for us, we've been to Oman before. Yeah. So we know the conditions, the teams we're playing, we've played against. Yeah. So we have a few cards in our pockets this time around. Yeah. And we're hoping to put up a decent show.
Okay. Abu, how confident are you in this group? I'm pretty sure you saw the T20 cricket that was played recently, and part of the opposition are those teams. How confident are you in this group?
Of course, the thing that gives me confidence in our team is that these guys, like the captain has said, they have played together for quite some time. So I believe they should be known, and with the tactician that we have, the coach, I'm sure he drills them very well. He identifies the weaknesses and tells them their roles. So I'm sure together with the captain and the management of the team, they should be able to transform that message onto the guys, so that they can do what they're supposed to do. I mean, if you're to name our 14, not even 11, because I'm sure, depending on the conditions, anyone in that 14 can take the 11 on a given day.
Yeah.
The guys know what they have to do. Brian knows what he has to do. His assistant knows he knows who his top batsman or batsmen are. He knows basically once they know their roles, and the players, they become confident, even as the fans become confident that our team will do well. When you remember the days when we used to do very well, everyone knew what they had to do at the time. Not when we are pressurized, then the captain gets the ball because he can bowl a few of us, but everyone knew those days when we used to do well. So I believe it's back to the basics. Yeah, cricket is a very, very simple game. You play it according to the basics, and I think that's what the team is trying to do, back to the basics, not to try so much. The results will come.
Okay. I want to mix the thing up. Brian raised a point of the availability of grounds, and I want to put that to you. These grounds, concert places, or they are cricket grounds?
I should say they are multi-purpose grounds, just like you see in other countries, maybe apart from England and the West Indies. But most of these grounds are multi-purpose worldwide. It's something that the Cricket Association cannot influence, but we just have to pray hard and hope that we shall one day get a place that we can call home, home as in home. Of course, Lugogo has been our home, but there are so many things. Even if there's no concert, there's a sewage leakage. So that's something that UCA can do about. Chambogo, of course, we signed a pact with them for I don't know how many years. But I mean, we may not be paying the same amount of money that other people pay, those corporate people pay, so that they use the ground. Just before the show started, I asked Brian, I think Chambogo is a better ground for training purposes, and he said, yeah, it's actually better. It's you get less distracted and everything. One time I saw the Uganda Cranes, the football team, training from Girls University in IUIU. So Chambogo can be that to us, but sometimes the forces behind there, UCA cannot do much if the corporate league comes and pays the university money that they need most than UCA that just asks for a ground. So we can't do much. But in future, we are trying to develop the current grounds that we have. Maybe next year the team will be resident in Jinja because there will be grass wickets. Even Budo, there's talk of putting a grass wicket there. And of course, finally, there's talk of having our own home. So it's about patience.
Okay. Dennis, are we right to demand results from guys who cannot even train in their own country?
Sometimes we ask too much as fans. I think the exposure that we have to international cricket and all these other things makes us believe that what the other guys go through is what our guys go through. But the conditions for our guys are very different. I mean, sometimes they would want to go to the gym, but there is no money. Yet the guys they're going to play against are having a gym session. They're doing everything they can to be better than them. So usually that's why most times you just say to Lumbe, you go with the heart, but you don't trust your skill that much. But it's a tough world for them. But I mean, we are in a result-oriented business. People want to see. People want to see the team do well first of all. And that comes at a cost that these guys have to put their bodies on the line, and they have to work very hard. Work very hard with very minimal resources. There is a limit, basically. I think, as you said, there is a limit. The guys, I think the conditions for Uganda could be the same maybe for like Kenya. We slightly have the same problems. Maybe for them they are bickering and what. They have issues. For us, we seem to be a bit stable. So sometimes that is where the edge will come in. But if all of us were given a level playing field, we could be a totally different side. I mean, guys, Jersey, Bermuda, most of the Bermuda guys play in the county cricket and what. So the exposure is different for them compared to our players. I would say a guy like Brian, I think he has hardly had chance to play many league games this season. because of ground availability and stuff. So if he's going to compete against another guy who has played, let's say, 8 quality games in the second division of county, it's a big mismatch. And only giving him, the only quality opposition he's played is 5 games in Zimbabwe, and then he'll have to go into the main tournament. So maybe they will play a few warm-ups before the tournament starts. But even when you play in those warm-ups and you're not doing well, it works on your psyche. So our preparation is still lacking. It's not just to the players, but even the coaches. They come here and they can only use what is available, and that's it. So normally, what we get is what we deserve.
Okay. Brian, during the tour, there was a game where Kaya had you on the ropes. He was basically putting everything you were throwing at him. What was going on in your head during that game?
Well, he didn't give us too much time for thought. Actually, it was quite an onslaught. But again, to be able to do that, you need to be at a certain level of skill. Not everyone can walk in and tear the ballers apart, especially a Ugandan bowling attack, which we pride ourselves in. He played well on the day. I would say everything went his way. A few chances that maybe flew a few meters past the fielders, but it happens to everyone. He had a good day and he made it count, more importantly. So he's a quality player. We'll give him that.
Did that bother you as a captain? Because I'm assuming you're looking to get him out, and you're looking through your bowling lineup like, who do I throw at him?
Not really. I think one of the traits of a good captain is just remaining calm under pressure. There will be days like that. More importantly is if you're doing your processes right, are the bowlers pitching the ball in the right area? Do you have the right field settings for the bowlers? If a batsman comes and chances his arm to a field you've set for him and executes, you'll shake his hand at the end of the game and say well played. But as long as you're doing the processes right, the next day you do that, you'll bowl a team out for 120.
Yeah. So on this team, I'm very sure everybody has like their trusted gun. Like if things are going west, it's the guy who is going to create normals for us. Who are your go-to guys on that team?
I guess it depends. It's situation dependent.
Okay.
Because you have guys that you'll need to up the run rate. You have guys that you'll need when wickets have fallen quickly.
Yeah.
You'll have your bowlers that you'll go to in the power play. Maybe when the batsman has gotten a start, your partnership breakers. At the end of the day, you want everyone to be able to put up their hand and execute for you, whatever situation it might be.
Yeah. Abu, you're a captain of a side. You may not have played as much this season, probably like Dennis. You may be hiding from these games, but I'm assuming at least you do the same role as Brian. The national side. How should he play it around when the going gets tough?
Okay, basically, like how he has said it, it depends on the situation. But of course, you shouldn't be played into a certain situation. You should come in with your game plan. Of course, he's not going to open batting with Franco just because they are chasing 500. I mean, he has his openers who know what they have to do. I'm sure the openers know when they have to go hard or when they have to keep their wicket. Just before he came late. He told us they were doing some role play. I call it role play. He calls it match situation something. Yeah. So basically, you're given targets. So Dennis told me those things of like 30 runs in 10 balls. So I challenged Dennis. I'm like, why didn't they do? Normally we succumb under pressure. Why didn't they do? You have 8 wickets and you're chasing 40 runs, and we see if they can do that. So I'm sure Brian would know what to do. He would know when to bowl his best bowlers. He would know when to bowl his most economical bowlers. Yeah. That's, I think, the 2 spinners, Henry and Frank, even himself. I think maybe I can give him some advice. His leggies are good partnership breakers because he will throw in the odd bad ball and the very good unplayable one. The batting, of course, normally the batsman has one chance, so you can't really influence much. But it's just telling them the message. I wanted to go back to what Dennis had said. I don't think, for instance, Brian and his team haven't even played, let me say, 30 games this year. Yeah. Brian, there's a time you went to India for that Omtex tour. The people who went to India, one of them told me there's a guy who was invited to come and play against you guys. He's a guy who works at a factory. He told them, oh, and I like imitating people. I haven't played much this year. I've only played 70 games. Imagine, 70 games.
And he hasn't played much.
He hasn't played much. 70 games. And this is someone who works 8 to 5. True, Brian?
Yeah.
8 to 5. And I don't think, even me, since I resumed playing cricket 5 years ago, I haven't played 70 games.
In
That
5
is
years.
exactly. But this is someone who was annoyed that by June he has only played 70 games. So we can only get better through practice. And that practice, of course, like Dennis had said, it comes through having the right infrastructure. So back to the point, Brian will know what to do together with the think tank of the team. He will know what to do. We assume he will know. He shouldn't panic under pressure, like he has said. He's a good, calm person. He will know the right personnel for the different situation. We hope he does. And of course, unlike football where the coach bellows down instructions, on the cricket ground is the captain.
Brian, let me put this question to you. Does Brian have direction he wants to take the team and these players he wants to use? Does he have a role player? No. Does he have a role to play in player selection, the core group of players, and he has to use in the players you have to use in beg your.
He's asking him if he has a say in the selection. If he will get the right players that he wants.
So there's two questions in there. First is the direction we want to take the team in. We're trying to get the team to play, like Dennis pointed out earlier, it's tough because of, things like lack of resources and exposure and things like that. But still, we're trying to take the team in the direction of sort of professionalized team, where everyone knows what they're supposed to do and they pitch up and actually do that. It's tough going, but we're trying to get guys to buy into the idea. If we're chasing down the target, the batsmen know it's their job to do that. And if we're defending, the bowlers know it's their job. If a guy wakes up and says today, I'm going to put my hand up and do this job for the team. But like we pointed out, those things will come with more exposure. We're actually trying to get a few guys to go down to Zimbabwe and just be part of the setup there and play more cricket, because there's no replacement for cricket. You might do practice, you might run and be fit, but there's no replacement for game time. So the more games guys play, the better they will get. So we're just trying to get the team to go in that direction. Of course, with the youngsters coming through especially, they're the ones we're trying to get them to buy into the idea, because cricket is a thinking game. If they can think the game, then they can play it. So we're trying to get them to buy into that idea, and hopefully in the years to come, they will play a better brand of cricket than we did.
Okay. During the tour, you had a change in your batting lineup, actually at the top. Was it because Ham got injured that you made the switch, or it was in you to try to look out for the combinations at the top?
Yeah, it was a bit unfortunate what happened to Ham, but those are risks we deal with. So obviously when that happened, I was forced to bat in the top order, but it's not something I've not done before. I actually bat in the top order for my club side, so it's not something that was pulled out of a hat. Of course, when you make plans, you have to have contingencies, and that was one of them. We'll walk into the tournament, obviously, with a few combinations. We have our solid plans, of course, but things like that can happen. One of your top order batsmen can get injured, so what happens next? So it's something I've done before, and it's in case I'm called upon to do it again, it's something I'd be willing to do again.
So basically, there is going to be a lot of changes up the top.
No. Actually, one of the most important things for a team is stability. Like I said, it's just a contingency. Okay. We'll go with our plans, like we've been training, but we'll have contingencies in place.
Okay. Dent, Brian talks about contingency plans and all that. He talked about how there needs to be a switch up, okay, understanding of who brings what to the team. Looking at our team, who brings what to the cricket grounds?
I think most importantly, the guys they added in the team, Ronak, Dinesh, Rizu, and Shazad now, for me, those are guys, if I was Brian, they would be my go-to players. Because you expect different things from them. Otwan is just coming into the team. He started in 2017, so he's still a rookie in my opinion. But Ronak and Dinesh have played at a better level than us in India. Shazad played first grade cricket in Pakistan. Rizu, of course, is young, but he's shown that his skill level is very high given his age. So you'll expect different things from players like those. Bilal Hassan also has been selected into the team. He played quite a good level of cricket in Pakistan. So in terms of bowling, I would expect Bilal to be the senior of Agamire. Try and guide him and help him while for him him and Charles Wise will lead the attack. So for me, there are players like those that we expect different things from. I think yesterday when I had a training where there was a joke that when we were doing the journalist thing, we were telling them to name the cricket cranes team, and every time guys mentioned Dinesh or Ronak, guys were like, no, Njagala wana Uganda. So sometimes that shows that the things that are expected of such guys are very different from our own guys because they come from a better environment, a better setting. Even when they come here, Dinesh and Ronak are just going to spend a month. These guys have been training for the last about 12 months. So for them, they should be the guys who lead the team in different ways. When Ronak is batting maybe at one down, if it was 0 for 1, he should be able to settle those nerves. He can't come back and then we are 2 for 2. Then it does not help our cause having them in the side. So those guys, I hope they know, but I think the management tells them that even their privilege level is different from our local players because you're trying to get them comfortable and stay with us. So when they go to conditions like those, I had a story, I don't know, I wasn't in Oman, but I understand that the US team had a player who was known to Ronak Patel, and he scored 100 against us. But Ronak, of course, didn't score any big totals for us. So these guys they are known outside our own circles. Some teams will see them and they'll be like, hey, Ronak Patel, like, this guy, maybe let's do it. Yeah? The things that they do for them are different from all our guys. So the things we expect from them are outside those few. The other one for me would be Roger Mukasa, of course, because we always want Roger to do well. He's our very own. You want your own to be also leading you to the next step. So, and now he seems like since they made the brand the captain, he seems to be a free man. He got some good scores in. I think he was our top run getter in Zimbabwe. So we feel that he can turn those simple stats into big totals that we know that he can score for the team. So for me, outside the other guys, I expect big things from Roger.
Okay. Abu, I think recently, not most recently, over the past few years, I think batting has been such a big issue for Uganda. At least even somebody who doesn't follow cricket but just sees some totals and like, okay, clear there is a big problem here. How do you address that problem heading in Oman?
Interesting. We have a batting person as a coach. So I would have thought that would have been the first area to address, but of course, like us who have played cricket, he can only guide you. Execution is yours, but it goes back to preparation. I always have my discussions with Dennis, even Brian to some extent. Okay, former captain Davis. Let me say someone like Roger, for instance. Does Roger hit 5,000 balls even in a week? The answer is no. Plain no. Lance Clues now, who was an all-rounder in the South African team, used to hit 5,000 balls a day. A day. Now he would know that at least out of those 5,000, I'll get at least 12 balls in a game situation. So those are some of the basics, which we don't do. We can argue all day long about facilities and everything. There's a guy who is going to probably make his test debut for Pakistan. He's 16 years old. I'm sure you guys have heard about him. It's called Shah, something, Nasim Shah. He's someone who didn't even know what spikes were bowling shoes, that they had spikes on them. But he just used to do the basics. He would just go and bowl. So I think with batting, of course, they need to practice hard. Like Brian nailed it on, it can only get better if they do it over and over again in match situations, like what they had in Takashinga. It can only get better. Now that the league has become, no offense, I'm part of the games committee, now that the league has become meaningless, there's a game at the Entebbe Oval. UCA should bend someone's arm. Is like, you know what, Roger, you play for Damani, but you're going to play for Challengers on Sunday. Agamire, you're going to play for KICC. Such matchups, other countries do them. So that they can maximize even these last 2-3 weekends. I think you have 2 weekends that they have here. They need to do that. They need to be in too much situations. You can do all sorts of fancy things in the nets, but game situation is totally a different ball game. So that's the simple advice that I can give them.
Okay. Is that a major issue given most of these national team players are in one team? Do they get enough competition even from our local league?
It has its advantages and disadvantages. The Australian Test bowling lineup is in one team, and no one complains. The 2 best batsmen in Australia in one team. Actually, New South Wales has how many? 6? Yeah.
Historically,
Yes.
South Wales
Yeah.
had the most players.
So, of course, to us, it's not advantageous that the league becomes a bit one-sided, but it's also testimony, or I mean, it gives us a kick up the backside for other teams to step up. If these guys, of course, are in one team, of course, they will not be challenged as much.
Yes.
But that doesn't mean we don't have talent.
Of course. But
That
we don't
doesn't
have
mean-
we
I
don't
have
as
witnessed
many
a
as,
game,
Australia.
Brian, last year before we hosted that WCL. I think you played that game. Our under-19 actually beat the senior side in Chambogo. I was going back home, I met one of the national team selectors. I told him, you know what? Your national team has lost to under-19. He's like, what? I need to call the chairman now. You get it? So sometimes it doesn't have to be that they play in one team. There's good quality opposition that can be found in other teams. It's also, I mean, it's disadvantageous mostly, but it's also an advantage. They get to know their game. I mean, for the years, Ham was working with Chobe. For the years, I mean, now Senyondo is bowling in tandem with Franco. I mean, they know what Brian was talking about, the nucleus of the team. Also, Brian in his club is playing with a few guys. He can guide them, things like that. So there are some advantages.
Brian, do you feel, of course, the league has not played that much this season, but do you feel during these games that have happened, when Reina said that we have given the national team players enough competition?
Yeah, like I said, there's no replacement for game time. So whatever playing time we can get, we're grateful for. You've got to make the best of what you have. I can't cry foul every time. So we're trying to work as hard as possible within our means, trying to get as much time as possible. Today, Mr. Mayanja mentioned it, I was just coming from a simulation. So we're just trying to do everything that we can to give guys as much time in the middle as possible before the tournament.
How do you deal with pressure as a captain?
I think once you accept that pressure is one of those things that will always be there, it's a lot easier to deal with. I mean, every part of life, Mr. Mayanja will tell you in his work life, it's something you can't avoid. Pressure is everywhere. And I guess you've got to compartmentalize. You just put it in your own little box and just deal with it. Once you do that, it's a bit easier because you can take a step away from it and have a look like an outsider and just see what to do with it. As long as you don't let it consume you, you should be okay.
Of course, there is not going to be probably drastic changes to this team that went to Zimbabwe. I'm pretty much sure it's the same that is going to Oman. But you as the captain of the group, do you feel there are some players who should be on that team or who you would like to be on that team who are not?
In this instance, I think the selectors have done a good job. I think they've selected the best from the crop that they were given. Only unfortunate bit is Ham, who's carrying a fracture. So I think Kenneth Weiser comes in for him. It's a bit of a tough one. Very unfortunate. He's one of our main batters, and he was in Oman last year. So it's unfortunate, but what to do? So the selectors did a decent job. I think they've tried to blend youth and experience, and they've selected the best from the crop that they've had.
Abu, you think the group that is there has the best we have in the country, and or there is somebody who is outside who could probably get in there?
Of course, those are our best players at the moment. Based on, well, I don't know the criteria that they use. I always like making fun of statistics, but sometimes statistics are different. For instance, if we are going by statistics, the first bowler will always be Mr. Anumat. But today, interestingly, I was reading, Brian and Dennis, I was reading somewhere on Twitter, the former England wicketkeeper, Geraint Jones. Duncan Fletcher just saw him playing county cricket. He's like, I need that character in my team. So he came onto the international stage, and of course the rest is history. The same with Vaughan and Trescothick. They didn't have the best of records, so it's not always about stats. I believe the selectors have gone with the players that, of course, with the input of the captain and the coach and the manager, that we feel can best represent Uganda. There are so many attributes that you look in when you're choosing a player. I know we trust our captain's sophistication that he'll be able to get the best out of them. For instance, I've just heard now that Kenneth Waisa has replaced Ham. Are we going to use Kenneth Waisa to the best of his ability? Those are some of the things that the captain will have to address, and the coach, of course. So I think that's sometimes where we get it wrong. You can pick someone who is a bowling all-rounder, and he bowls one over in the game. Then someone who is an opening batsman, just because he can bowl, he bowls 10 overs, things like that. But of course, the captain will say, you guys didn't know this guy, things like that. But a guy is going to be given their roles, which I believe they will. I read somewhere on the comments that have come in, I wanted to address one issue. Someone has said that our coach is the batting, fielding, everything, bowling, and everything coach. Some of these things, of course, are down to resources. Uganda doesn't have, I believe, all the resources to have a bowling coach, a physio, whatever. And Steve has played at the highest level. He's someone who has faced Brett Lee. There's a game he entered when Brett Lee had broken Otieno's hand. So very few people would have entered that match. He came in number 4 and they had broken. The first 2 guys went out broken. So I'm sure Steve knows a thing or two about fast bowling or spin bowling for that matter. And some of the bowling that we are going to face, Steve should be able to tell our batsmen what to do, and he should also be able to tell our bowlers what to do. In future, of course, when we play better and get into the elite and funding increases, we shall get those specialized coaches and who will be able to, of course, drill our players better and, of course, reduce on the burden of main coach.
Brian, going to Oman, I feel, okay, to use Dennis's word sometimes, he says, I know rounder is a player who doesn't know anything. You know, so, and we have quite many on the team. Will they be used to the best of their abilities?
Usually, I think Dennis says that because an all-rounder's workload is double any other players. So to be an all-rounder, you've got to be really, really hardworking and very good at what you do. But you'll notice this team has gone with a bit more specialists than in the past. We have a really strong top 6 batting unit, and we are blessed that we have 2 batting all-rounders in the middle there. That gives us options in case you need 1 or 2 overs here and there. But more importantly, we've gone with a strong batting unit. I think this has been our weak point in the past, so we just look to strengthen it this time around. And like I said, having a good all-rounder in the middle there allows you to play an extra batsman or an extra bowler, depending on what the conditions are.
Dennis, the work is cut out for this team. I think a good start in Oman will put them on track for the next two tournaments to progress. Are you optimistic this group, having been in Oman last year, can get to the next round that we are hosting, by the way, when in a position to advance?
I want to be patriotic and say yes. But the problems of associate cricket, I think, for those who are familiar with associate cricket will know Xavier Marshall. Xavier Marshall plays for the US, but he was an international for the West Indies. When he started playing for the US, he was surprised by the level of associate cricket. He thought because they play ODI cricket, and at that level, you feel like if you drop down, it's easy this side, and you know it is a cup of tea. But he was so surprised by the level of one, the intensity and the pressure, and then also the level of cricket played by associates. So the unfortunate bit for me sometimes I feel is that we play in. The guys are going to play 5 games, but they are all like finals, shootouts, and they are back to back. Oman is very hot as a country, so I think they are playing 5 games in 10 days. There's very little time in between for you to recover and stuff. So when you lose today, maybe to Kenya, you don't have time to dwell on that loss, because tomorrow morning Italy is waiting for you, or Jersey. So it is very, very tough for associates. I think where we need to start focusing all our energies is how to prepare our players mentally. Sometimes it comes down to mental. If you're 18 for 6, can you recover like PNG did in Dubai and they beat Kenya? So if you can't, that means you crumble for 20 all out, and the other guys pick an easy win. They have enough time to go and rest and things like that. While you're in sorrow for them, they have enough time to prepare for the next game. But I don't know, maybe Brian will tell us. I don't know, we didn't do well in Oman last year. I do not know what we are going to do different this time around to guarantee that we get a good result. We may not be among the top 2, but we need to stay away from the bottom 2 teams. As long as we're among the top 4 teams, it gives you an opportunity for you to take advantage of home conditions, and then in the last round you could even afford either 1 or 2 losses and remain among the top 2 teams to advance. So the mathematics is also there. It's there and about. All you need to do is stay away from the bottom 2 guys, because the bottom 2 teams will be relegated, and you stay with because for me I feel it will be a close competition. No one is going to win all 5 games. This one will win today, they beat you tomorrow. In the end, it will come down to points. Each one won 3 games or 2 games or a single game each. At least we are guaranteed there's no rain in Oman, so the games have to be played. Yeah. So for me, my question to Brian would be, what are we doing different from our experience last time? What are the lessons, and what are we going to do different?
Like Dennis said, associate cricket is brutal. It's a dog-eat-dog world out there. You're playing back-to-back games in some of the hardest conditions out there. Yeah. So one very important trait is character. He mentioned the example of the PNG game against Kenya. When you find yourself in situations like that, it's the character of the team that brings you back. That never said the attitude. I think that's something we've tried to impart in this team, because we know it will get us through a tough period. There are times when obviously we won't have the stats we want. We'll be 20 for 4, 20 for 5, and you need character to come back into such games. So the character of this team is what's going to get us through those tough moments. Like I said, the difference between the teams is not very big. The margins of victory and losses are very, very small in such tournaments. So I think the team with the biggest hearts, the toughest minds, and the best character will come out on top in this tournament. So we're hoping we'll go and show that in our cricket in Oman this time around.
Abu, do we have enough mental strength in this group?
Okay, I believe in cricket, any team plays according to the way the captain wants it to play. So I believe Brian has passed on his message to all the players. He has mentioned a very, very important word, that's character. The team has, like how you'd say, enough steel. I mean, when you look at Franco, he was, I think, for probably 5 years running, the best associate bowler. When you look at Senyondo, this is someone who has never gone for more than 4 runs and over. When you look at even Brian himself, he's someone, I remember I joked with him sometime in the nets. He told me You know, it's very easy to score a 50. Let me tell you, just score 1 run per over when you've opened batting. So I mean, if someone who breaks down his cricket to the minutest of molecule, I mean, when you look at Roger, there's nothing that Roger can't do. I mean, he breaks our hearts all the time. This is someone who, one time, by Brian, I shared with Dennis, I'd gone on my work commitments. And one of the Indians wanted to take Roger just to sit on the Kolkata Knight Riders bench, just to sit there. Because they had seen some good talent, the Meta Group guys, the ones who sponsor us. They had seen some talent. Like, even if he doesn't play, let him just go. Things like that. So we have guys, they just need to be told that they can do it. I don't want us to be 20 for 5 like the captain has prophesied. I believe we can be 130 for 1. I mean, we want Uganda to bat 50 overs and we have 360. But it will be, of course, different temperatures and different whatever grounds and everything. We have enough. We have more than enough. The guys just need to be told that they can do it. And that is the captain and the coach. And of course, down to the captain. Now, like in his free time, he knows that I have a character like maybe Otwan. I need to put my arm around him when no one is there, make him feel loved. And he'll give me whatever, the runs that I want. He will take those half chances if he's keeping. I have someone like Agamire, very young. Things like that. I need to maybe go with him. We watch a movie, we talk. That's what international captains do. And it's not rocket science. I'm sure Brian does some of those things. So,
Brian, last week Dennis was talking about one of the posters being batting out our overs. We were saying that previously we would get out very quickly, we would be out very quickly. Now that we are batting out our overs, are we now going to increase on the totals?
For those that followed the tournament in Oman closely last year, you'll find that the pass score was 240, 250, and 260. That was a winning margin, a winning total. So batting out your 50 overs is very important, because you bat out your 50 overs, you score at 5 runs and over, you get 250. And from our experience last year, that was a winning total. So we'll look to bat our overs, but one very important thing to note here is not batting dead, just blocking the ball. One of the things the coach has tried to tell this group of guys this time around is to stay positive. Cricket has changed now. You must have runs on the board. Nowadays, guys are hunting down 320, 330, 340. So it's important to stay positive. But staying positive is not taking risks. You can play risk-free and still stay positive. You can actually get 5 singles in an over, hitting the ball on the ground. So these are things he's trying to impart into the batsmen. It's a question of skill, of course. The more skillful you are, the easier it is to rotate the strike. So working on skills, but more importantly, having the mental capability to keep reminding yourself that, I can actually score 5 runs and over without taking undue risk.
Under normal circumstances, I think your 5 or 6 top players should contribute like, I think 90% of the total. Now, do you think from top down, your top 6 guys can get us to 200?
Yeah, like I said, this particular batting order has been strengthened. I think my seniors will agree with me. It looks like a settled batting unit. We've got some serious experience in there. So yeah, we are asking the batsmen. Actually, we are demanding that the batsmen do the job. We are past the point of looking at the bowlers to get us to bat out the last 15 overs. Yeah, we must have batsmen doing the job of scoring runs for the team. Yeah, so that's the direction we're trying to take the team to.
Dennis, what would be like your remarks to this group before they leave?
I'm not there. What do they call them? Psychic or psychiatrist. But I know how tough international cricket can be. I think sometimes for me, let me give an example. In 2017, when we played here at home, I felt there was a lot of baggage around the team. There were many guys in our team bus and stuff like that. Sometimes, teams keep people around them who only add value to know what the players are going to do. So sometimes I feel we miss the point with these small things. Sometimes guys leave here and then maybe they don't have the manager doesn't have the allowances, what. So to understand our players that if someone is going away for 3 weeks, he's leaving behind his family, when you start telling him those stories before he boards that Emirates plane to Oman, then you know, or psychologically you're already working on against him. So for me, I always want, one is if you told me that there's no money, then maybe I can devise a plan and borrow somewhere and then that's it. But if there isn't and then you don't communicate, then it becomes a problem. So for me, I always want our guys, especially the guys around the team. There are people who influence the team, who are around the team besides the coach and everyone basically, to always keep the team in a very good state of mind. I think when we're young kids, when you're under 19s and what, those are some of the things they do well for you. You're excited, the team manager buys you soda in the evening, you're more excited, you just want to play. But as you grow up, the things change. So the soda doesn't excite you anymore. All these guys have flown, so flying is no longer a thing of, it's the first time we're on Emirates and what. No, it's not anymore. So for them, you need to understand that what motivates them, what makes them do well. Sometimes if we learn to do those small things, they can really help our team do well. But most times we neglect them. We take them for granted. Like, what those things? Yeah? Things don't work like that anymore. I mean, the Cranes went on strike in Egypt. These are well-played players. Most of them are professionals. So those small things need to be addressed for the team to stay in a good state of mind. For guys to know that we are here for a mission. We need to finish among the top 4. Let's pick up our first 2 wins. If we pick up 2 wins, we'll just be looking for a 3rd win out of the other remaining 3 games. So some of those, if the team is in such good spirits, it's very easy for them to do well. But sometimes we don't manage those things properly, and in the end, when those things don't go well, then guys are picking on each other. These guys are from there, these ones are from here. Oh, now why did we bring this one? Why are we using Bachuba? Why? All those things come up. But it's our Ugandan team. All they need from us is to back them. But even when we are demanding for results, you never know what's happening around the guys. They are there, maybe they don't have money. Team manager doesn't have money for supper. Then the guys are to here. So, but tomorrow morning when you're here following on Crick Info, guys are just saying, guys are getting out. Guys are not serious. What those things. So for me, I always urge that the guys who are managing the players to look after them and ensure that they are in a good state of mind for them to put up their best show. There are times when, I think when there's a time we lost to Oman, I don't remember when, but we scored about 300 runs and they chased it down in 39 overs. Yeah, I think 2009. In moments like those, you feel like, we gave our best effort, but the other guy was just, he was just better than us. There's nothing we could do. Imagine Kenya and their situation right now, they have a 46-year-old in the team and what? You feel like this is our moment. This should be our chance for us to finally, to beat them. But then it doesn't happen. Because Kenyans, for them, no matter what happens, once they decide to play, they will go and give their everything in a game. So I feel that if we take care of our team and there's a positive mood around the team that the guys are excited to be here, to do this, and to do it to the best of their abilities. Things may not be going so well. You didn't have a gym session or what, you don't have a masseuse and things like that. But even with your limited resources, I remember the first time we played the Under-19 World Cup against PNG. PNG is now an ODI playing country, but every time their guys would walk out, they even change ball guards. The other guy first gives the other guy, he also removes the helmet and he gives him. Yet for us, at least Uganda, we're a bit privileged. We had our kit bags, each one of us had their own stuff. But that things like those didn't stop them from what? From going far and far ahead of us. So it's the small things, if we get them right, I feel like we have a skilled team. Especially the Zimbabwe tour was very encouraging for me. We were able to, like I mentioned the other week, we are starting to show that we are identifying where our problems are and we are dealing with them. We're not just winging it. In the past, we were winging things like, it wasn't our day. But there are so many days that you can have. So I really hope that we can be able to do well in Oman as long as we have a positive environment around the team.
Okay, Abu, how best do we before we go? How best do we keep these guys locked in for the next 2 weeks as they go to Oman?
Of course, the message has to come from the right people. That is, of course, the captain. I'm old school, so I'm a firm believer of captain runs things, despite all the politics that we have here. Brian needs to talk to his charges. Like I've said, they'll respond the way he responds. He's a very calm guy. And most of the guys on our team are calm. So the message has to come from him first. Then, of course, it will go up. Jackson will have to play his role as a manager. He will have to ensure that, what do they call it? Everything is in place, the logistics, the allowances and everything. Even players that are paid well, of course, like Dennis has said, you hear them mumbling here and there. Our players, even the allowances are not very high, but sometimes they don't get them on time. So, of course, up to the coach, to the chairman. The chairman is the head of cricket in Uganda. So the message has to come through those steps. Once Brian gets his troops in order, I believe the message from the top will be easily digested down.
All right. Thank you very much. I want to send some shout outs to the people who have been watching. Ibrahim Olwoch, Andre Swede, Alvin Bagaya, Joseph Owino, Nathan Olupot, and many of you have been following. Thank you very much. This show happens every Friday of the week at around 4. And I would like to thank Brian for coming through, and Abba as well. We shall catch you next week, and bye-bye.